You're listening to Birds Coast to Coast. Here's your host, John Clark and Tanner Riddle.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of Birds Coast to Coast. I'm your host, John Clark, with our wonderful co-host, Tanner Riddle. Thank you so much for everyone listening to episode 1. We had a lot of great feedback, and we had a ton of fun talking to each other and just, hearing all the wonderful things that you guys had to say about our first broadcast. And we're here to kind of do our second episode is going to kind of focus a little bit on a lot of different things. Both of our teams have a lot of coaching vacancies that we're talking about. That we're really interested in discussing with each other. We're going to do a playoff picture wrap up from the exciting games that happened this weekend. Talk about the weekend's games coming up for the conference championship games. Talk about some game picks that we may or may not have done terrible on from last week. And then we're going to do a quick little final thoughts wrap up, which, is going to be a lot of fun as well. So, Tanner, I just had a lot of fun sitting and watching these football games this weekend. A lot of these games came right down to the wire, except for maybe one or two of them. But was there a game that really go ahead?
Before we get too far into that, first I want to thank
up?
everyone who did take the time to listen to us. We really appreciate it, and we did notice. But I wanted to ask you, John, did you see the news?
What's the news, bud?
We are officially the fastest growing YouTube channel in the galaxy. Our subscriber count infinite grows, or infinite.
See, I thought you were just going to say. See, I thought you were going to say just the amount. We're the fastest growing birds.
Right, we're the fastest growing podcast in the entire galaxy.
No, well, obviously we're the best podcast that focuses on the Eagles and Cardinals. I mean, we're already number one. So
no,
I mean,
there's no
all
just
of them.
Podcast.
All of them. Well, we're the best ever. Well, you know what, guys? Mission accomplished.
No, we're the fastest growing. Doesn't mean we're the best.
Well, the best and fastest growing means the same thing. Or look, at this rate, everyone's gonna be listening to us. I don't see what the problem is with that. I mean, at this point, did you hear how many people listened to us this first week? Oh my gosh, how many views did we get, man? Like in the tens?
It's infinite.
It's
infinite growth. You can't beat that.
Can't beat infinite. This is not going to happen. Speaking of infinite growth, this week's games seemed like they had an infinite amount of, spectacle. I definitely let out a few, few amazement, a few amazing sounds that probably hadn't come out of my mouth all Eagles season. I actually watched football with a smile on my face for the first time in quite some time. And, I do sound like, first world problems over here. But, man, let me tell you, the Eagles were a chore to watch at some point. So actually watching some games that were, competently played on offense and defense and coming right down to the wire, it was fun. It was fun to watch and not have to feel like, there's big stakes involved. Well, how did you feel watching the games this week? Did you have a good time?
I mean, when you don't have any stakes in the game, you may as well have actual good games. I mean, if I was a Broncos or a Bills fan, I mean, I'm sure my heart rate would have been through the roof. I mean, that would have been tough to watch. But I didn't care. I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Every single play was just like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, awesome. Because it didn't really matter at the end. I mean, yeah, I had teams I was pulling for, but I wasn't I wasn't going to leave downtrodden or anything. And, as always, a lot of these games ended with a lot of online discourse that, kind of tore the internet in two. But we'll definitely kind of get to that.
I mean, Josh Allen did try to ruin that game.
Oh, yeah, he did. I mean, I don't know how many times you can turn the ball over and still win, but it's shocking that he still had a wide open tight end for the win. But I guess we start there. I mean, I guess we can wrap up. We can start our wrap up with that Bills Broncos game. So for those who didn't see it or notice, get caught up on it. I mean, the Bills ended up losing that game on quite the controversial call. Basically, the game came down to, Josh Allen turning the ball over in key moments. Second quarter lapse that he just flung the ball backwards, reminiscent of about as bad of a quarterback play as you can do, right? And at that kind of stage in the game, I don't know how you can really, top fumbling the ball at the 50 with no timeouts and just kind of gift wrapping them 3 points. And basically it came down to the Brandon Cooks play where a lot of people thought he caught the ball, had 2 feet, and, had possession. For those of you who aren't watching, I'm air quoting here, had possession. but it was ruled an interception because he didn't survive the ground, which is an NFL rule that's been around for quite some time. And a lot of people just, in my opinion, don't understand what that means. So I don't think it was a catch at any rate. Where did you fall that on that, Tanner? Didn't you think it was a catch, or what were you thinking on
In
that?
real time, it looked like a catch to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm not a referee, so I don't have the same angles or even the same knowledge of all the intricacies of the rule. Um, I was genuinely shocked when I did see the defender come up with the ball, though. Like, I didn't see the ball hit the ground, and I did see the defender finish with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems pretty simple to me that, okay, that should be an interception.
Yeah.
But I'm sympathetic towards the idea of like, man, that looks like a catch to me, and I don't like the idea of like not knowing what I'm watching. And so I'm sympathetic and with the frustration of people like you would think we would all know what a catch is. And unfortunately
You
we just
think
all don't. And
it's
so yeah, I mean in a play like that, if I remember correctly, that game would have been like, let's say it was a catch. That was field goal range. That would have ended the game. Am I
it would
remembering
have
that
because
right?
the Broncos got ball first and they punted. So that
It's
was they
one
were
thing if
just
it happens 2 minutes into the
Mhm.
second quarter, and it's another thing if it happens next score wins situation in overtime. And so it feels like we directly determined an outcome in that situation.
Yeah, that's
So
yeah.
while it's unfortunate, I'm not even disagreeing that it was the right or that it was the wrong call. I mean, letter of the law was the right call.
Yeah.
I guess my take on all this though is it is frustrating when people think they see something and it's just not like their eyes deceive them. I guess. Um, in a perfect world, everything just goes smoothly. Everything's
Yeah.
a clear catch, and there's nothing to argue about. There's no push offs saying, "Oh, well, that's why the guy got open," or, "Oh, did he get his toenail in?" And I was like, "No, he clearly got both feet." Like, I like clear stuff. I don't like calls like that hovering over a game because it was an awesome
Mhm.
game. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it was the right call, but I just don't like that there even is just like cloud over a game that we could even discuss it.
It reminded me a lot of the Eagles Super Bowl against the Chiefs in 2022. James Bradbury had like a ticky tack penalty, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, the refs are deciding this game." And as
Wasn't it the
much
third down one and he got
yes,
called
it
for a
was third.
hold
Yeah,
and
so it was third down. For those who don't
and
remember, it was
they
third down, and it would have been
dwindled the
a
clock
stopped
down for
clock.
a
It
field
would have,
goal?
yep, they would have kicked a field goal. We would have had about 2 minutes left to take the lead or tie the game and go to overtime. But instead, it was penalty, first down. We no longer have any timeouts. They could just kneel the ball basically and kick the game-winning field goal with like a few seconds left. So, but and look, as much as that hurt in the moment, I recognized it was a penalty. Like that was a penalty. Like it was ticky tack. He did hold. Same thing with this Brandon Cooks play. Like, I understand that when you freeze frame the play, he has two hands on the ball and the knee is down. However, the rule states when you are going to the ground in the act of catching the ball, which is what he was doing, you have to survive the ground. And that means through the process of falling to the ground, the entire process of him being on the ground, basically the entire time, he has to hold on that ball. Just like how you see a receiver, even if there was no defender, go up, come back down, and the ball bobbles when he lands. It's the same rule. It's the same rule, except this had a defender trying to pry the ball out, and that doesn't necessarily change the fact that he needs to hold on to the ball, whether there's a defender there prying at it or not. So he happened to not get the ball all the way through the ground because the defender was prying at it and came back. And I totally understand how a lot of people could see like it was kind of fishy because how many times have we seen defenders after a play kind of swat at the ball? Oh, I got the ball, ref. Every single time. Like, yeah, I'm sure everyone's seen that. We're like, the play's over, but the defenders are kind of going a little too crazy and like, I got the ball, see who, and he runs off with the ball. I've seen that a million times. So like, is it shocking to see people be like, oh, well, it's just one of those moments. He had possession, he had the knee down, he had that, and the defender's just running off with the ball. But no, it's not that. So it's different, and it's just a shame because I mean, again, like this, I don't want to kind of like lead this into the coaching carousel thing, but this ended up getting their coach fired. I don't know if it was that specific event, Because who knows? Like, I don't think you'd fire that coach if they're in the AFC Championship game. I don't
No.
know. Maybe they still do if they lose, but I don't know. But like that moment, like really changed a lot of things in Buffalo, and it's not great right now in terms of
The
Josh
way
Allen's
that
legacy.
specific play, I don't. Again, the thing I just said I hate doing. I want to keep harping on it. The way that I would describe the play, or how it was described to me with the rule, when you're at the goal line and you see a quarterback jump over the offensive line and extend the ball over, they do that because the second the ball crosses, the play is officially over. It doesn't matter if it gets swatted out of his hands afterwards, and it's a dead ball. The play's over. That doesn't apply to pretty much every other play in football. Like you said, you have to survive the ground and maintain the ball throughout. And just because, like you said, if you take one frame, you can see Brandon Cooks, ball in his hand, on the ground. Seems simple to me, right?
Yep.
That's just not how it works. This is not the goal line. We're not extending over. So yeah, simply put, you gotta finish the play throughout.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
highly recommend just hold on to the ball the whole time.
yeah, and it's a sad situation because let's be real here. Like Brandon Cooks was picked off the scrap heap. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't have been expected. Like I get it. He's a longtime vet, make the play. But the fact that like through injuries and just poor GMing, that was the cast they surrounded Josh Allen with. You know what I mean? Like, I like Khalil Shakir, who's like the kind of like I guess like the top guy there. He's a slot receiver, not even like not even that like electric of a slot receiver.
I
He's
think
a
at
pretty
best he should be a second option on a good team.
yeah. It reminds me of Cole
At
Beasley.
best,
Remember, he's like a Cole Beasley. Remember Cole Beasley on the Cowboys? He gives me those vibes. He's like,
but
whoa,
you
he
would
can
never
actually
expect him to be your top target.
never, never, ever. So, and
He's a
that's the
good
problem.
player, but that's
A
not the
role
role
player.
that he
Exactly,
fits.
a role player. And the Bills tried to say brought in Amari Cooper last year, didn't work. They drafted Keon Coleman, basically a bust at this point. So like, yeah, like you're putting these guys in positions that like I look, maybe prime Brandon Cooks holds on to that, but he's not prime Brandon Cooks anymore. He's played for like 8 different teams. So like that's kind of unfair to put him in that situation. But yeah, I mean that was a tough game to watch because it was filled with a lot of emotions, a lot of heated online opinions. Like people got pretty heated online back and forth about what's a catch and what's not a catch, and it was
One
pretty
opinion
interesting.
I won't accept is that the NFL has it against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen.
Yes. Oh my God. Like there is nothing Roger Goodell would want more than Josh Allen to be in the
Seriously,
Super Bowl.
play it out. Josh Allen's the best player in the league. Buffalo and their fans
Are
are very
highly
easily
marketable.
rootable, if that's a
Highly
word. It's
marketable.
easy to root for the Bills. Um,
Do you know how many commercials will
game
have
would it
Bills
wouldn't
fans
be in
jumping
Buffalo,
through
but still,
tables?
in the off chance that the game could have been in Buffalo, no, I don't think it would have been because I think they were the lowest seed at that point. But still, like they're an easy team to root for.
But yeah.
Why would we, for TV reasons, why would we want the Broncos and Bo Nix at the time we thought, or would we rather have Josh Allen? Like he's a face of the league. It doesn't make any sense.
And without Patrick Mahomes, you could argue the face
You
of the
need him.
league
No,
right
if
now. Like
anything, the Broncos should have been the ones complaining, saying you have it against us because
oh,
we're
absolutely.
not as big of a draw.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it'd be great. Drake May versus Josh Allen for his chance to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, one of those guys would that'd
Division
be
rival.
great. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. You got the whole like Patriots angle, back from the brink, like the boogeyman of the past. Like that would be like a really good thing. And again, like it's nothing against Josh Allen specifically. I just don't understand where this whole like the league has it against him angle that a lot
It's
of
just a
people seem
cope
to.
why you think the best player it didn't win. You have to come up with an explanation, and that makes more sense than the team just not being good enough.
You know, Patrick Mahomes missed the playoffs this year, and he has a torn ACL as well. So the issue with and it's ACL, right? It wasn't Achilles.
Yeah, it was ACL.
Okay, it was ACL.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Like, I was talking about how like Josh Allen didn't have any weapons and all that jazz, but Patrick Mahomes. he had Travis Kelsey, but I mean, his receivers were also pretty lackluster in some of his Super Bowl years. So I just wonder, like
It's funny, of the three, only one of them had a premier receiver.
Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
There
So
was a point where actually it was after Tyreek Hill he won the next two.
and I'm not saying that to, oh, by the way, I'm not making this a Mahomes versus Allen thing. I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, there's
Yes,
John's
you are.
trying to say Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. No, I'm trying to make the angle that like you said, the first had Tyreek Hill, and then he got paid, and then he had like no weapons. Like, am I? I'm trying to project towards the future and say like, is Josh Allen going to get weapons? Is there a world where he will get weapons? Can they afford to go out and get these weapons? Because don't you think the Chiefs would want to get Patrick Mahomes weapons that are like high price and like not rely on draft picks like Rashi Rice and who's that Xavier Worthy? Like they're trying to make cheap effective weapons for Mahomes. The Bills aren't. They keep busting with Keon Coleman and Dalton
So
Kincaid, who's
I
not
think that's the
necessarily healthy.
difference.
Yeah,
When they made the decision to pay Mahomes, that means you have to take away from somewhere else. And
yeah.
it's not that they didn't like Tyreek Hill. Clearly he may have been the most dangerous offensive player in the league at that point. But the reason why they maintained success is not because they got rid of him, but because they replaced him with productive players on cheaper contracts. They drafted the corner from Washington. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Oh gosh, McDuffie.
McDuffie. Yeah, Trent McDuffie,
Yeah,
right? And then they drafted the Purdue edge rusher who hasn't been a world beater, but he's just been productive. And given what he's being paid, he's probably, making market value. Whereas what did the Bills do? The Bills got rid of Stephon Diggs, right?
replaced him with Keon
But they
Coleman.
replaced him with unproductive guys. That's the difference to me. This actually doesn't have much unless you want to give credit to the quarterbacks for these guys, in their production, which I guess in Mahomes' case, the two first rounders that I was talking about were on defense. But Rasheed Rice, Naomi, if you want to give him credit for how productive he's been, I think just the difference was they've been able to supplement the lack of production or the production that they lost with productive cheap guys, and I don't think the Bills have been able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
which makes the decision to move on from the coach and then to promote the GM in Buffalo kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree, and that's it's very interesting because apparently I heard a report, and I double checked this to make sure it wasn't some bullcrap article. Apparently they had a discussion while McDermott was in with leadership at Buffalo. Apparently, McDermott confronted the president and Brandon Bean and said, "Hey, like this roster isn't Super Bowl worthy." Now, I wonder, and I don't know if that may have been the same meeting that they fired him. And apparently they weren't happy about that. That was the report that they weren't happy, and I don't blame them. I mean, they're basically saying they like they sucked at their job of getting talent. So obviously they're upset.
Well,
But I
what is
wonder if like
McDermott supposed to say?
I wonder
He's
if
supposed to lie to them?
yeah, I wonder if like he said, "Hey, this roster sucks," and then they fired him, or they fired him and then out the door he said, "Well, this roster sucks. I don't know how I'm supposed to win with this." So I think the second one's probably more because if you're going in there like hoping you don't get fired and wondering if you're going to get fired, I don't think leading off with this roster sucks is going to
Well,
really help your cause.
one of the biggest moves at the trade deadline was the Bills not making a move.
It was Jalen Waddle.
And
Yeah, they
so
wanted. Yeah, didn't
yeah, and
happen.
so yeah, if McDermott at the trade deadline said, "Let's make a move," and Brandon Bean says, "I'm holding on to my precious little first rounders," like I'm sorry, like I think McDermott's validated in wanting
I'll
to like make a statement.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are quite up in arms about this. I was watching a Brett Coleman pod. In fact, this today. Shout out to Brett Coleman. You guys should all go listen to him and watch his stuff. He's great. He was very upset about the firing, and it didn't make any sense, and how this is only going to make matters worse. I saw that of the 48 draft picks that Brandon Beane has taken, there's only been 2 Pro Bowlers in the past 6 drafts. And
Wait,
that's
that wouldn't include Josh Allen.
I
So
think
if you're saying the last 6, he was drafted in 17. So yeah, that wouldn't count.
Yeah, no, it's all post Josh Allen drafts. So so I think the only 2 being, I can't remember off the top of my head, but still 2's not good. Like it's and Pro Bowl's not a high bar nowadays. I mean Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl. So I mean, and
Well, it's
really
a
easy.
fan award, right?
Yeah, it's a fan
Who's
award.
going to be more active than a Buffalo fan?
That's what I heard. I heard that fan base will do anything to get their player support. I guess they're just they're not that good to the point where even with the fan stuffing of the ballots, it doesn't get them in. But it just goes to show what and again, I don't think this counts for signings. I think that stat was just for drafting or drafted players. So there may have been some players who came on via free agency, like a Jordan Poyer, like a Micah Hyde. Those were signings. So they'd probably made the Pro Bowl and they were really good players. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. We spent a lot of time.
We could probably go on all day.
We could go on all day. I think the logical conclusion of the next game to talk about, because the only really good one left was the Bears and the Rams. What a showcase of, I guess, quarterback talent.
You're talking Bears Rams?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sat down there when it was the end of the game, and they were at the 20, and it was 4th down. I think it was 4th and 10, okay, or maybe 4th and whatever. And I was sitting there, and it was the exact same scenario that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were in. They needed a touchdown. There was a minute left. They were at the opponent's 20, and it was 4th and medium. And I was like, we drew up and did nothing. It was like nothing. It was that, and it just died in a whimper. Lo and behold, Caleb Williams unearthed probably one of the best throws I've ever seen, like just from a strict arm talent perspective, dropping back 20 yards and throwing back a Hail Mary, essentially. I saw the next gen stats on that bad boy. That was the furthest back a quarterback has ever rolled or dropped back for a drop back pass. I think it was 15 to 20 yards, and completed a pass that far downfield ever. Like that was one of the furthest dropbacks the quarterbacks has ever done with a completed pass that far downfield. So that just shows, again, was it a poor decision? Maybe, probably, but it was desperation, and I guess at that point, talent takes over.
Well, there's nothing poor about if you only have one option. Is it really a bad option?
No, and as he let go of that ball, I thought to myself, there's no way, because how often have you seen a quarterback get flushed, roll backpedal, throw off his back foot, and the ball just kind of sail up in the sky? 9 times out of 10, that ball
November 15th, 2020.
Yeah, well, there was guys near Devontae,
there was
guys. Well, yeah, he's talking about the Hail Murray, and there was guys near DeAndre Hopkins. What I'm saying is, usually in those moments, there's guys.
I'm not sure how that changes the difficulty of the throw.
It doesn't. But what I'm saying is, I was just shocked that no defender was near there.
That's a failure on the.
It was. Oh, I'm not saying
the guy glitched. It doesn't make any sense to me. I was waiting for the replay, and I'm like, all right, let's see this massive push off, because how else would someone get open?
It wasn't that much of a push off.
No, there was no push off.
Yeah, I mean,
what I'm saying is, when we saw the ball get caught, there was an amount of separation that should never have happened. So the only logical thing would have been, he clearly pushed off the defender. He didn't, because the defender just glitched. Sure, it was an impressive throw. It takes a certain level of talent to, escape, and he had to buy time. I mean, he had pressure in his face pretty quickly. So it's an impressive throw. I think there's a handful of guys who could probably make that throw, but anyways, I just see it as more of a failure on the defense as opposed to, wow, what a well drawn up play. He threw it was a pinpoint throw.
I think it was a great throw. I feel pretty good about that throw. A handful of guys If you count a handful as like maybe 4 or 5, is that a handful? How many is a handful?
I always thought a handful was like
How big are
fingers,
your
so
hands?
like
Show me your
5
hands.
fingers.
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
many? How many? How many? Yeah. Pause. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say how many guys can you fit in your hand. Pause.
what?
Nope. Yeah. So a handful is 5. All right. So yeah, I think about
Okay,
5. All right.
let me say it this way. Can we agree that the level of difficulty was similar to the Hail Murray throw?
I think the
I'm
Hail
not
Murray
saying
throw
it's
is probably
100% one for one.
no.
I'm just
I actually think
saying.
the Hail Murray throw is a little more difficult. It was further downfield, more guys contested,
So
had
if
to be
Kyler can
placeable.
make that throw, where does Kyler rank in ability to make that throw?
That's
And so if we're like
buddy. That's
Kyler, I don't
prime
know,
Kyler.
what,
That's
like top
prime.
15?
That's
It's like, well, if the
prime
top
Kyler.
15.
Tanner, that's prime Kyler. There's a difference.
Oh.
Prime Kyler may have been in that top 5 to 8. All right, and I'll say this in terms of like raw talent. I don't think anyone's arguing. Kyler doesn't have some of the best arm
I
talent in
always
the
argued
league.
Kyler he's more than just a runner.
Yeah,
I
no,
always
yeah,
thought
I
he
don't
had a better arm than what people gave him credit for. He
absolutely.
just
So yeah,
wasn't able to show it off on 5-yard hitch routes
all right. So
80% of
moving
the
on.
time.
So at the risk of moving off that play because that play did not end the game. It
Oh yeah,
was
the Bears did not win.
yeah, the Bears didn't win. I know we're kind of alluding to the fact like the Bears like pulled off some miraculous win. They didn't. Yeah, they ended up going to overtime and it was a back and forth. And I still wonder about like what the correct meta strategy is for like what to do for these new overtime rules. Like, do you want the ball second or third? Like, do you want it first? Like, I think a lot of people have just decided that it's better to get it second, but I
Well, there
think
used
what
to be a time first score
yeah,
win. Of course you want the ball first.
yeah.
And then the next rule was if you score a field goal, then the other team gets it back
Mhm.
unless you score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, if you were confident enough that you could at least hold a team to a field goal, I want to say it was the Patriots and Belichick were the first team to say, "We will pass on the opportunity to score a touchdown first because we are confident we can at least not give up one to where whatever we need, we can at least get it." But that rule didn't stay around for very long. Like the rules that was only like a couple years, I think. Now it's all about giving every team an opportunity. So it's very easy to say, you know what, I'll defer. I want to know what I need to do, and then go from there. Even if it is score a touchdown, my personal opinion, as long as there's no time restriction, because tell me if I'm wrong. Let's say the first team takes up 14 minutes. Do I only have 1 minute, or do we start a new quarter until the game's decided?
I believe in the playoffs, you obviously have to continue until the new quarter. But in the regular
Regular
season,
season, though, there might
you
be a
well,
time restraint.
that's why I was thinking it might be beneficial to take the ball first because you get more cracks at it. Like, what's more
Well, hold on.
likely?
Are we talking about playoffs though?
I think we're just talking about playoffs, but it does change things,
Okay.
obviously.
Well, if there's no time restriction, I would rather kick it. I want to know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah,
But
it just
it's
felt
also team dependent. If my team is I have the number one defense and I'm just a ground and pound type team, maybe it's a little bit different. If I have Jarrett Stidham or if I have Josh Allen, I do think that might change the calculus a little bit. But generally, if I have like a generic team, I think I'd rather kick the ball, see what my defense did, and then whatever they did, whether they gave up a touchdown or a field goal or nothing, um, I think I want to just know because I don't want because even if you score a touchdown, kick the extra point, go up 7, you technically don't hold the result in your hand. Like you
they can
could
still
give up
go
a
for 2.
touchdown and go for 2, which
Yeah,
I don't know if we've had that yet, but like that's not unheard of. Like I think there's a good chance in that scenario a team would go for 2. And would you rather go for 2 or defend going for 2? I think that's at the end of the day what it comes down to.
I'd
I
rather
would rather
go
go
for
for
2.
2.
I'd rather
Yeah.
go for 2. Go
I would feel
defending is
better about
scary.
drawing up a play and not being. I want to be proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah, especially that part of the goal line.
Because
Yeah, so I mean,
like these
yeah.
teams have these plays in the back pocket that 80% of the time work, and that's what they're saving it for. So yeah,
So I mean, I was very I don't know. I couldn't believe that the Bears did what they did because literally they had the most 2 minute and under comeback wins in NFL history in a
that was
regular season,
crazy.
which I thought is insane that like a team could do it that many times. Like they had like 8, which is crazy because if you win
Yeah,
like
I
11
think I saw it
games,
was 7, including the playoffs.
like this isn't like a baseball team that
But when
plays
you win 12
162
games, that
games.
means more than half.
Exactly. Yes, like you're gonna talk about some regression for next year. You know, in terms of like win loss record, like that's like we're not even talking about one
I have
score
a lot of
games.
concerns with Chicago because
Yeah,
all the
we're not.
50-50 stuff went their way this
Yeah,
year. What are the biggest ones? One score games and turnovers forced on defense.
and
They were
not
like
only that,
number one on both.
like Caleb Williams is also very erratic. That's one thing I kind of failed to mention was his amazing throw was he's like at any given point he'll drop back and become like Brett Favre in his worst moments or Brett Favre in his best moments. So I guess he's just Brett Favre. Uh, I guess that's the case.
Kind of
Because
ironic that he's
because
a Chicago Bear.
yeah, because he'll just throw for like 50% completion percentage and then uncork like an amazing pass to win the game with 2 minutes left. So like that's kind of like what he does. It's one or the other. Um, but yeah, I think what really showed was that like consistency ended up winning the day, which I think kind of played its part in the Rams. Like Matt Stafford's like Mr. Consistent. That's kind of been his whole career. Just like level-handed. Always kind of knowing what to do. Sean McVay's offense is very efficient. Whereas Ben Johnson is very boom or bust, I guess, this year, maybe depending on the quarterback play. Um, and I think that efficiency just really won out. I mean, that running game, while they have like no one true amazing running back, I had Kyron Williams in fantasy. He was fine. But I mean, like their rushing metrics are off the charts. The Rams are. So like they are very effective at running the ball. And I think that's what ended up winning in overtime was just that constant pounding of the ball and just wore down the Bears defense to the point to where they could just, kick that game winning field goal with relative ease. So it was a good game. And I guess we'll move on to the kind of like the less exciting of the other two games. We could probably go with the more exciting one. We'll go more exciting to least exciting. The Patriots and Texans game, it was gross. Like, and then while I was watching that game, like the one thing that kept going through my mind was I wouldn't want to be out there. Like, it just looked really, really yucky. Like, it was the cold and wintry mix, and everyone looked like they weren't really having a good time. So I
You
don't
sound
know
like you're
why.
from Arizona.
It just looked
That's all I
depressing.
can think. When I watch that Bears Rams game or that Patriots Texans game,
Yeah, it just
it
looked
looks
depressing.
so
It
miserable.
looked miserable. And then like CJ Stroud just kept turning the ball over and throwing pick after pick. I looked because I didn't start watching until like the second quarter, and I was like, I said, CJ Stroud has how many interceptions? like he just kept throwing interception after interception.
It was
Oh,
a real conversation. Do
oh,
we pull him? That's
was that
crazy to me.
sad? Yeah, I couldn't
He's
believe
up
it.
for he's up for his extension now.
I,
Can you imagine
dude,
if he got pulled in a playoff game and then you go to the table saying, "All right, let's figure out an extension."
where's my number? I'm thinking
Right?
40. I'm thinking 40 million. No, so I mean it was a closer game. I mean it was basically like a knockdown drag out fight where like one team kind of took a while to pull away at the end. Wasn't the most exciting game. One of those like hey like a couple clutch plays at the end kind of sealed the deal. Um, the Texans defense did everything they could to keep that game close, like everything they could. D'Amico Ryans is an amazing defensive coach. Like he is off the charts. And like there's no one aside like that defense has some studs.
It's a
Like don't
lot
get
of
me
good
wrong.
players too.
There's a lot of good players. Yeah, they have like two or three like stud players like Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley Jr., Will Anderson, but like most of their players are like B plus ish players, and he
That's
just
so
has them.
to have a couple A pluses and then fill the rest with a bunch of B pluses. That's those they were all time defenses.
I'm telling you, dude. Like I don't know if I made this analogy last week, but they played like 11 Velociraptors with machine guns. Like they are just always fighting for the ball, always like one step ahead of the offense. Like they are just stuck to their guys,
Trent
and they
Dilfer's
did
like, man, how many Super Bowls would I have won with that defense?
seriously. They were a great defense, and I think again, just the consistency ended up playing that out as like the winning formula. The Patriots kept their ground game going. Drake May didn't make too many mistakes. I know he kind of did make some mistakes, but he kind of kept the ball out of harm's way for the most part. And I think Mike Vrabel. I mean, I think that coaching job. I mean, he. I don't know if he's going to win Coach of the Year, but he's probably like either going to be first
There's
or
a
second.
lot of good contenders for
A
Coach of
lot
the
of
Year
good
this year.
contenders. So I mean, that game kind of came and went. Uh, Honestly, if the Texans won, like aside from the defense being in the AFC Championship game, that'd be kind of cool. But like CJ Stroud is kind of like having a definite like slide in his career. Like
I
I
am
can't.
so
Yeah.
fascinated what to do with him because after his rookie year, can you imagine if I told you, hey, there'd be some doubt if we're going to extend him as soon as we can?
Has he even
If
gotten
they
injured?
could have, do what?
Has he even gotten injured? It's just pure
I don't think
regression.
so.
No
I
injury.
don't think so
It's
because
just.
but he's also not mobile per se. So like,
Mhm.
you don't have like, oh, like he usually runs it 8 to 10 times a game. Now he's only running it 3 times. Like, so you don't see that. Yeah, I can't recall him getting hurt. Um, but yeah, this right after his rookie year, if they could have signed him to an extension, they absolutely would have. And I was joking, saying like, yeah, imagine if they pulled him and then he comes to the contract table. What do you like? If you want to get your bang for your buck, you extend them as soon as you can, so you can pick up the 5th-year option and spread out the new money over an additional year, so your APY is a little bit lower. I don't know how you commit 60 million because I think the rate now is going to be about 60. I think Dak signed for 60, and then Josh Allen, who clearly is better than Dak, he signed an extension with new money of only 55. And when the precedent was set with Dak at 60, I mean, Bill's got a little bit of a discount. But I mean, is that not going to be the going rate somewhere between 55 and 60 for these next set of guys? And I don't know I don't know how the Texans do it. They're in a weird spot. They've made the playoffs every year. That's a good thing. But why do I feel so bad? Like
Do you
I
think he's a trade candidate?
what would the Cardinals get for him? Is that what you're asking?
I just wonder. I mean, like, because I guess whatever team trades for him is also going to have to give him a contract, so you can't really get away from that. But I just
Well,
wonder.
I don't know about that. If the hypothetically, this is a Cardinals Eagles podcast, you're not trading for him. If the Cardinals offered 2 first-round picks and they said, you know what, we'll pick up the 5th-year option, so you're taking the risk that you're getting them for an extra 2 years. Do you have to?
I guess it depends on your evaluation of the quarterback. I mean,
Well,
if
let me
you.
first be clear. I do not think he's going to be available for trade. You even take like what the Cardinals would have to give up would probably be at least the third overall pick that they have.
Oh no,
And
I wouldn't even
well,
do that for Stroud straight up.
no, but what I'm saying is, if I'm the Texans, I mean it's the same problem for the Cardinals. That third overall pick is not a path to a quarterback for the Cardinals. And if you're going to trade someone like Stroud,
You're gonna want
the
it back.
return is going
You're gonna
to
want to
have
pay it.
some kind of path. It's going to have to give
Yeah.
me whether it's, oh, I'm trading you the first overall pick. Here's the clear quarterback that you take. And for the Texans, unless they want to do the like Kirk Cousins route, which I'm not sure they would, but I can't like our pick this year can't guarantee you a path to a quarterback. And you feel like you're in a window and you would need some kind of path to a quarterback. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think your original question was what would a trade package look like? I mean, it would be at least 2 firsts, right?
Yeah, no, I was just kind of spitballing. I was thinking about him being kind of on the lame duck year of his contract and maybe some quarterback needy teams that aren't exactly loving this year's draft class maybe would spring to kind of maybe go a little overboard to kind of land that young quarterback that maybe they could just justify, oh, let's send a couple first when we'd be willing to trade up and get that young quarterback anyway. Maybe we like Stroud more than XYZ quarterback, and maybe it was a GM that's desperate enough to do it. I mean, this is a league of
I think there's a
desperation.
lot of fans who have looked at what the Baker Mayfields, the Sam Darnolds, the Daniel Jones before he tore his ACL and he
Hmm.
was a legit MVP
We
candidate.
can fix them
I
types.
think a lot of teams are like, wow, look at all of these quarterbacks that are available in free agency that you could get at a about market value, below market value deal. There's none of that this year. Um, I'm not trying to be biased, but I think given the draft class coming up and then the free agent class, Kyler might be like one of the only one. Like you tell me, there's Kyler. I think Kirk Cousins will be on the market. They restructured his contract, which it's a clear sign that they're gonna to move on from him.
Justin Fields, he
Um,
signed a 2-year deal, so I guess he has 1 more year left.
Aaron, he'll. I don't expect him to be on the Jets next year. So sure, the fact that he's like in the top three, and then Aaron Rodgers, like it's not that same class. There's not a Sam Darnold that you can go pay a little bit of money to after winning 14 games with the Vikings. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, realistically, I don't think there's anything to trading CJ Stroud. I think that they're going to have to make a decision that they never thought they'd have to make, and that is pick up the 5th-year option and let's just be on a 2-year deal and not commit 60 million a year
Hmm.
just yet.
All right, so we talked about that game, and let's kind of wrap up this last little playoff
I
carousel,
think
I
we'll make
guess.
up some time from this game.
Yeah. This game was a blowout. Seattle versus San Fran. The only interesting note was that the Eagles got, you know, got stomped by the Niners at home. Not stomped, but it was kind of embarrassing that we lost. And then they went up to Seattle and got boat raced. So that was kind of disappointing as an Eagles fan to see that it's defense that we had struggles getting any sort of traction on the ground or through the air going, got absolutely destroyed by Seattle. And, a lot of Eagle fans, whether for good reason or not, a lot of them compared the Eagles to the Seahawks in terms of like how they play. I looking back now, it seems kind of silly because the Seahawks were like scoring 30 points a game and we weren't. But I guess just by team construction, I think a lot of people saw similarities in our rosters. Um, and I mean, those two games played out completely differently. So, I mean, I was not necessarily happy to see the result of that game. I kind of thought this, San Fran would, you know, put up a little more of a fight. So, anything you want to add to that? I mean, it was 41-6 or 7, or it was a very, very, it wasn't even
41
close.
to 6. It was
Yeah.
the Seahawks got their winning score 12 seconds into the game. They
Yeah.
didn't need to score anymore after that because it was already enough. Seahawks are a juggernaut. Going into the year, I love the Seattle team. I love their roster. I had two questions about it: the offensive line and Sam Darnold, but I loved everything else about it. And Sam Darnold and the offensive line have been pretty good to pretty great. So I think that's how you get to 14-3. Um, it feels very Legion of Boomish, which I don't feel good about. But the alternative was then the 49ers would win. Yeah, as a rival fan, I was rooting for a tie. Kind of got pretty far away from that. But yeah, they're a juggernaut. I'd have to say they're probably my favorite to win the Super Bowl at this point. Um, I don't feel good about that Sam Darnold team as a favorite, but I've doubted him enough. I feel like I gotta have a little bit of faith in him at this point. So, um, yeah,
I feel I kind of like the Seahawks team. So yeah, I guess that's a good quick. I mean, we did save time on that game because it was such a blowout. So we're gonna move into our our coordinator and coach carousel. So me and Tanner have kind of made a compilation list, if you would kind of humor us, of candidates that we would love to have on our staff, and some people that I made a little list of people who I just like I don't want. So that way, anyone hears the news and they come out and hear that, and they'll say, "Oh, that wasn't one of my guys," and or one of those guys I didn't want. So I know I think my list would probably go by a little quicker since the Eagles only have one position open. So Tanner, you mind if I kind of roll through my list first?
go for it. Just be
All
ready
right,
for me to
cool.
comment.
All right, cool. I want you to comment because I'm actually interested to see how you react to some of these names because I did some digging. Um, So I'm gonna start with the do not want list. Okay. First on the do not want list is Josh Grizzard, the Bucks offensive coordinator. Don't want him. Fun fact: he's from Lizard Lick, North Carolina. Just fun town name. I heard that broadcast about 5 times while watching Buccaneers games. I don't know why they had nothing else to say about him other than he's from a funny town. Stagnant offense. Buccaneers wasn't really, moving the needle for me. They seemed like they kind of took a step back offensively. Didn't love what I saw. Next is
Yeah.
Charlie Weiss Jr. Charlie Weiss Jr. is a hot name that's kind of popped up in a lot of circles in the Eagles
he
online
interviewed?
sphere. He has been connected to us. I don't know if he's actually completed an interview.
Okay. Wow, that's kind of a random name to me.
Yeah, I done some digging, Tanner. I'm not kidding. Yeah,
Like I know who he is.
Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, for those who don't know, he's a LSU offensive coordinator, or is it LSU or
He was at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and he's going to LSU
he's
with
going
Lane.
to LSU.
But
That's right.
But
That's
he
right.
coached Ole Miss
He
in their
coached
most
at Ole
recent
Miss.
game.
That's right. That's right. So and he's very new to play calling. A lot of people like his RPO game. They think it might work with the Eagles. I don't want him. Just too young. He's like 32. Like just too young. I don't want to hand the keys to that for a guy that young. Arthur Smith. I've been a long hater of Arthur Smith. Doesn't know how to utilize running backs. Boring. Way too Jonnu Smith dependent. Just uses like H-back tight ends to ad nauseum, and I'm just sick of that whole philosophy. So no to Arthur Smith.
110% agree.
Very boring. And the last one, Tanner's favorite guy in the world, Cliff Kingsbury. Do not want him. A lot of Eagles fans are like, "Oh yeah, Cliff, yeah, he's good." And I'm like, "No, man, I've known Tanner long enough to know. Listen, I've been following Cliff Kingsbury. No, I don't want a rectangle offense. I can't do it." So luckily, he hasn't had.
What
any
I heard
interviews.
about Kevin Patullo is everything's like a 5-yard hitch. If you like him, you would love Cliff. If you did not like KP, you would not like Cliff.
So that's
very
my 5.
simple.
So those are my 4 I don't want. There's others that I'm just kind of meh on. I'm sure, honestly, the guy who we hire won't be any of these guys I list in terms of the top 5 because that's just how it's going to be. So I'm going to start on my top 5. Number 5, David Shaw. You're like, what? David Shaw is the Lions pass game coordinator. He used to coach at Stanford. Yeah. Look at you. I don't know.
Hold on, I'm picking my jaw up off the ground.
Yeah, David Shaw. I want David Shaw. I want David Shaw because he has a track record of being a head coach in college. He has that idea of being able to lead a locker room, and he was around the Detroit Lions passing game. I don't know if he was there during the Ben Johnson years as well, but I do know that he's been around in Detroit. He was a pass game coordinator for the Lions, and I really I like their passing game. I like how they do things timing based. And I just love how they organize their offensive strategies. If he was around for the Ben Johnson era, that'd be a plus, but I'd be fine with him even if he wasn't.
Is he actually linked to the job, or has he done interviews, or is this like a personal preference?
I think it's personal preference.
Okay, no worries.
I will say not many of these guys have been linked. These are all wish list guys. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, 4, Nate Shieldhouse. Rams pass game coordinator. Issue with him and with David Shaw is neither have called plays at the NFL level. He's the pass game coordinator from the McVay tree. I'm very interested in kind of tapping into this McVay kind of coaching tree. I was going to maybe put like Zach Robinson here as well, since he's kind of from also that tree. But I kind of wanted to go with the younger guy. I know I just said no to Weiss.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to say it or not, but
yeah, no.
You just criticized a 32-year-old for being too young.
No. Here's the thing. Well, that 32-year-old was in college playing during the college level. This guy's at least been in the NFL and done NFL games and done NFL coaching, and I think that's giving. And that's why he's 4. Okay, that's why he's 4. Okay, he's not 3, 2, or 1. Is that fair? Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
It's fair. All right, number 3. This is a new one that just popped up today because of some circumstances, or a couple days ago. Joe Brady. I do want Joe Brady if he does not stay in Buffalo. if he doesn't stay in Buffalo, I want him because I loved what he did with the Buffalo offense. He didn't have the weapons, but he was able to utilize Josh Allen in a way that kind of reined him in and made him super effective and efficient. And I kind of want that, but allowed him to still run the ball and utilize his skills as a runner, which is something I want Jalen Hurts to do. I hope he's available. I hope, with this firing, he's kind of like looking elsewhere. And I hope we kind of give him a call. Number 2, and this guy did get linked, and he did, I believe, he does have an interview set up for the Eagles. Brian Daboll. All right, he's my number 2. All right, reason why? He has a lot of success with mobile quarterbacks. He allows them to kind of be themselves. He coached Josh Allen to be the guy who, he was just that rough pile of clay coming out of Wyoming, and he kind of developed him into the dual threat mega stud that he is now. So I kind of want Daboll. The only issue with him is that, like, he might not be a personality fit. I see him and Sirianni being like the 2 drunk neighbors yelling at each other about like who won't return whose lawnmower. I feel like I don't know. I just feel, hey, give me my lawnmower. I don't have your damn lawnmower. Like they seem like hotheads, and I don't know if they would really mesh well. I mean, I think, don't know if that would really fit together.
He is my number 1 choice for the Eagles. Here's my thing. There's only 2 outcomes for a Daboll hiring. You said a personality misfit.
Yeah.
If he's not good, he's getting fired. If he looks good, he's getting a head coaching job. I don't see a universe where he's good, he's not getting head coaching looks, and he's just staying around as a coordinator.
I thought to myself, I'm not making this list on the hope that this guy stays. My assumption is that if any of these dudes do well, they're gone. Because I think that's just the way we live in the NFL right now.
It's Philly.
Yeah, like that's just the way it is.
Relationships
Like,
aren't supposed to last long.
Yeah, they're gonna burn quick,
They're
and then
short
they're gonna leave for a
fusing.
new job.
You squeezed everything you can out of it, knowing it's a short-term relationship.
Yes, so I didn't like hold names back because he might just leave. Like, no, I want the best guy, and the best guy, my number 1 guy, is the vape smoker, capri wearing, offensive genius from Miami, Mike McDaniel. I have loved his offense since the day I saw it. All that speed down in Miami. Oh my gosh. And you know what? That's the one thing the Eagles need, man. I hope we hit the ground hard going after speed in the offseason. We do need some guys that are just, for lack of a better word, track stars. And a lot of people, including myself, wonder if Jalen Hurts doesn't really mesh well with the type of offense that he runs. But I think that Mike McDaniel is a good coach, and coaches are meant to, teach systems and implement systems. It's his job to get these guys to run this system, So even if it's not something Jalen's used to, I think this would be the best fit. I think it's the best, most talented offensive coordinator on the market, and I want him. I'm not trying to overthink this. So that's my guy. Those are my guys. I would love to hear what you think about your offensive coordinator positions.
It's a good list. I like it. I probably swap 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I really like Daboll. I just, in a way, I don't even think about the personality thing. I almost feel like it fits perfect, like a hand in glove. I love McDaniel overall. He probably would be, like, for any generic team, I'd probably fit him as like a top 1 or 2 choice for OC. I do wonder though, personnel wise, look how those Miami offenses were built. If you didn't run a 4-3 or faster,
he won't want us.
And I mean, where's the speed on the Eagles offense? I'm pretty sure he would love that offensive line, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I would like to find out. So
that's where I'm at.
I would like to figure out what that would look like, because all we know is that he just does speed. He filters your Madden rating by speed, and then he picks from there.
Well, is it shocking? Would it be shocking for him to get the job and go to Howie and say, hey, look, I need to prioritize speed in my offense. Can you, make something happen? Acquire some guys, maybe trade a player on the offense who has the number 11
Well,
and maybe isn't as
I don't
fast
know.
as he used to be.
The last time that happened, I feel like Howie got put in a closet and Chip Kelly took over.
That would give him PTSD, wouldn't it? Oh my gosh, I got beat by the Jacks.
No,
Well, you know what?
I think Howie is a two-time Super Bowl champ from that moment. So no one's putting him in a closet.
Other than himself. Um,
Good list. I do like the out of the box thinking. I did not expect David Shaw to get brought up. I didn't even know you knew who he was. I think of him as, he's a college guy, right? Like
yeah,
99% of his resume is college. I had no idea you'd even know where to like go with that. Same thing with the Charlie Weiss Jr. one. Like, I guess his name's been linked here and there, so that helped. But I like the out of the box thinking. It sounded like you had a little
thank
bit of
you.
a mix of preference versus realism.
Yes. Yeah,
So
and I kind of and
thought that was a good
I
list.
wanted to do some digging. I wanted to learn some of these names and what they've been up to. In the case
Mm.
that even if we don't get them in this cycle, maybe they go somewhere else and I could, find out a little bit more about them and maybe track their careers a little bit because a lot of these college guys, we just saw Jeff Halfley go to the Packers after being at Boston College forever. So I mean, like these college guys are just kind of making the jump and they kind of make waves quickly if they have success. So I kind of want to get out ahead of that
What
and
a
kind of be
career
like,
arc for Jeff Halfley.
no, right? Boston College
Because
all the way
I
up to
mean,
the
not that
Packers.
he was the greatest coach in the world. When he willingly took a DC job after leaving a head coaching job in college, that was a topic of conversation. A lot of the talk was, I don't want to do NIL. I don't want to do transfer portal. This head coach took a demotion. Well, I guess it depends how you look at it. He would rather be a defensive coordinator in the NFL than he would be a head coach and deal with all the new landscape of college. So, what a career arc for him after 2 years landing a head coaching job.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's very interesting to see him jump, and it's such a stark difference. I don't know if you could go much different from Mike McDaniel than like, Grizzly defensive coordinator coach Jeff Halfley. It definitely seems like the pendulum
Right.
swung the opposite direction. So what do you got for me? How's your list breakdown and what do you want to start with?
Well, first, I'm looking for a head coach. So my demands and requirements are gonna maybe be a little bit more broad. I can't just look at just the offensive side. Also, my list of guys is gonna include defensive guys. Pretty sure unless you're Bill Belichick, you're not gonna consider defensive guys for an offensive coordinator role. So I guess let's first start by saying there's already been 4 hirings. Giants with Harbaugh, Falcons with Stefanski, Dolphins with Jeff Halfley, and the Titans last night hiring Robert Saleh. Reports with that one. Let me kind of comment on that one. There's a report that if he did not, if he did not sign with the Titans, if he left the building, that he was going to get on a plane today and he was going to speak with us. I think he would have been a top choice of ours. He ended up signing. It was 10 o'clock p.m. local time, so it was midnight Tennessee time when he signed this deal. My gut tells me that we were probably a leverage play. He was probably using us to get the owner to like maybe bump
Yeah.
up a little extra in his personal pay or assistant pool. A little disappointed in that because I actually had him pretty high on my list. I know in the first pod I talked about just ideologically wanting to have an offensive minded guy, but I wouldn't necessarily take the worst offensive guy and pass over the best defensive guy. I do think there are certain guys where I would consider a defensive mind, and he was one of them. I didn't really hold the Jets situation too much against him. One, which I'm sure
Sure.
Jets fans could say this about Cardinal coaches. Everyone kind of fails there. So, there's a certain, barrier that to reach that's not as hard. But he had a couple like 7 and 10 years and just kind of the Aaron Rodgers thing kind of added a chink in the chain. I felt like they really catered to Aaron Rodgers, signing a lot of his guys. And they fired him when they were 2-3, not 2-13.
Yeah.
So there was just some weirdness there. But is even when they were bad, their defenses were top 5. You could rely on a good defense. I think the mistake he made was Zach Wilson not being that great. Now, could he have gone with other guys in that class? Sure, but I don't think they were good at either. So it's actually, you should go look at that quarterback class. I think 5 guys in the top 15. Best one's Trevor Lawrence. So not really that many great options. But okay, Robert Saleh. I'm going to kind of do it similar to you. I'm going to give off my no-goes.
I'm
I'm
glad
not
we're
sure
on the
how.
same page there.
Yeah, if we hire any of these guys, I'm not sure how long this podcast is going to last.
Oh, that makes me nervous. Oh God, I'm
Yeah,
refreshing Twitter now. Like,
yeah.
no, we don't got.
You're
I
going to
don't
be
got a
constantly
job.
scrolling because I'm going to be pretty disappointed.
Tanner, how are we going to
The
make our
funny one
money?
that you mentioned was Arthur Smith. He actually did do a head coaching interview with us. That might be the worst name that's been connected. It's got
I
fans
hate
here
that
running
guy.
around asking if Jonathan Gannon's still open to coaching. Thomas Brown. Do you know that name?
Yes, I saw his name kind of in the articles I
It's
was
probably linked to
researching.
us because I haven't seen him linked anywhere else. Thomas Brown was the interim head coach for the Bears after they fired Eberflus. Remember
What's he
that?
doing now? Yeah, what's he doing
He
now?
is, I believe, he's the passing game coordinator with the Patriots.
Yes, okay, that's what I remember. Yeah,
They
I
got
didn't want
Josh
to say that. Yeah,
McDaniels, right? So like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's always interesting when teams look past the coordinator and go to like a passing game coordinator. But because in this case, I don't think McDaniels is getting another job. He's probably retiring in New England. Not as bad of a name, but doesn't really do anything for me. Raheem Morris. He's already had 2 opportunities. I think it'd be interesting as a defensive coordinator for someone. Just I don't know. Doesn't really. There's not much juice there, in my
He's
opinion.
had too many failures as a head coach. I just everywhere he goes,
Is
it
he the
never brings
youngest
up.
coach who's already been fired twice? Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
I
he's
just
that
don't.
old.
Great defensive coordinator. He's not working out as a coach, head coach at least. I feel like he needs to stick with his defensive coordinator positions.
Matt Nagy doesn't
Nope.
really do anything for me.
No,
Who
I
I
hate
think
Matt
he did a
Nagy.
little bit better than people give him credit for in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, I think he finished with a above 500 record. Who would like that? Doesn't feel like the narrative after leaving Chicago, but
Yeah,
no, thank you.
don't like Matt Nagy.
Um,
Matt Nagy looks like he smells like cigarettes. Not a fan.
he looks like a cigarette.
He looks like a cigarette. Sorry for interrupting you. That just popped in my head, and I was like, I had to say that.
Anthony Weaver, he's this coordinator for the Dolphins
Oh, I've
who
never
has
heard of him.
been brought up for a couple years now, but he doesn't really seem to have convinced anyone yet. It's an interesting name just because he has been talked about with a lot of teams for a couple years now. Kind of got that Eric Bieniemy feel without the winning. Remember all those years Bieniemy would get interviews, and it got to the point where people were like, "Is he just a bad interviewer?" Because I mean, they won. They were successful, and probably the biggest one because it feels he's technically the odds-on favorite to land the job, which is terrifying. Vance Joseph. Vance
Oh,
Joseph, who, yeah, he used to be our defensive coordinator under Cliff, all 4 years. When we fired Cliff Kingsbury, he actually got interviewed for the head coaching role then. Obviously, he did not stay. Uh, Denver's defense has been awesome this year.
didn't he
It's
go
been
to the?
awesome for about a year and a half.
Was he the head coach there?
He used to be the head coach. Yeah, so he got fired from Denver and then came to Arizona. And then oddly enough, went back to Denver as a DC.
That's right.
I
Okay.
actually appreciate the humility of
Yeah.
going back to a place where they fired you as a head coach, but they wanted you as a DC. I thought that's actually. Do you see that often?
Was that the
We see
Russell
guys
Wilson
come
year?
back after they leave willingly for a promotion,
Yeah.
but how many times do you fire a guy and then bring him back? I
Yeah,
don't
that
know. It
was the
just doesn't
Russell
seem to
Wilson.
happen.
That was the Russell Wilson year because I remember that guy on ESPN. Remember that ESPN guy who's like, Vance Joseph having the time of his life here in Denver. Remember that? You
Yes,
remember
that
that?
was the
Yeah.
Monday night game. Yes.
I just remember because I was ringing in my head like, wait a second. I remember was that Denver? Yeah, that was that guy. I remember that
Yeah.
soundbite. Yeah.
I think his biggest selling point from a Michael Bidwill, the owner standpoint, is that he would accept the role if offered. And that's very concerning because I don't think every single guy would accept a 1 out of 32 NFL head coaching role, and that's absolutely terrifying. Um, yeah, doesn't do anything for me. The defense has been great. They got a lot of good defensive players. They also gave up 70 points to the Dolphins one year, and that's because they let off the brakes. They could have scored more. So, yeah, he's the odds-on favorite, whatever that's worth. Now I have like a middle tier where I could probably convince myself into it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Interesting names. Jesse Minter from and the
Ooh.
all these guys have actually been linked.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't I was this isn't like a personal list. These guys
Yeah.
actually have some kind of connection.
Look at you doing
Jesse
your
Minter I
homework.
think has done an interview. Uh, it feels like he's more prime for like a Baltimore role. Um, he's just part of the Harbaugh family. I think he was at Michigan. He was the Baltimore DC. He's a honorary Harbaugh, I think. Um, but yeah, he's had some good teams, good defenses. Chris Shula, he's the defensive coordinator for the Rams. I am curious if I'm a little biased towards the last name. If his name was Chris Smith instead of Shula. To be fair, when the Rams won the Super Bowl and then Aaron Donald retired, I was super relieved because I think Aaron Donald might be the best defensive player ever. And I was like, man, how are they ever going to recover from that? And I don't think there's been a single hiccup. Now, it's a group effort. They got multiple guys on that defensive line who've probably shared the production of one Aaron Donald, but very disappointing how quickly they've recovered, which is also impressive. Defensive guy, I have a couple of questions about that, but interesting name. And the last interesting would be Davis Webb. He's the 30-year-old quarterback coach in Denver right now.
30?
I think he's 30. He was actually Josh
Whoa.
Allen. He was Josh Allen's backup for a couple years in Buffalo.
I remember Davis Webb. I
And
had a feeling he was young because I remember him being in the league.
I feel like I remember him. Was he from Richmond? Was that where?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like we were just watching a draft with him.
Yeah.
So,
That's Mel
um,
Kiper's big board. Who's this Davis Webb?
you're gonna hear his name a lot with. I think he's getting some interviews with the Raiders.
I saw his name
Like
pop
I
up.
said, he wasn't just the Josh Allen's backup. Apparently, he's like best friends with him. So you'll see his name pop up with the Bills as well. I think he'll actually be a pretty strong contender. Um, Interesting name. I mean, uh, shoot, I'm drawing a blank on
For
Sean
head
McVay.
coach. For head
Um,
coach.
Sean McVay was 30 years old as well. So
No. Oh,
he was
wow.
yeah. He was and actually there's a story connected with the Cardinals. The year before Sean McVay was hired by the Rams, apparently Steve Keim was enamored with him and wanted to bring him on the staff and wanted him to be the coach in waiting after Bruce Arians.
Wow.
John, can you imagine? Like, what a mistake that was.
God.
So yeah, that would be a total swing for the fences. Given some of the other names that are already off the board, I'm probably more open to it than I should be. But now the complete like not grand slams, but the names that definitely have some juice behind them that I would totally be in favor of. I think Brian Flores would be a really interesting name. Unfortunately, there hasn't really been much ties or interest between the two, so I'm not really going to focus too much on him. Your guy for OC, Mike Daniel, I think he would also be an interesting fit as a coach. I think he could be a little bit more than offensive coordinator, but I understand why teams have interest. Clint Kubiak, he's actually really up there for me. He's a younger guy. He's the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I could be fooled by the last name because his last name's Kubiak. It's a good family name in the NFL. He's done a really good job, I think, with the Seahawks. Not just with Sam Darnold, because you could say Sam Darnold was good last year too. I think the big thing that really gets me with Kubiak is what he's done with JSN. Um, right now we don't have a quarterback that we have to focus on the development of. So I think you could argue that actually the most important guy in our offense right now is Marvin Harrison Jr. and getting him right. Well, JSN wasn't he wasn't bad. He wasn't very productive early on, and now look at him. Talent I think's always been there, but I'm curious what Kubiak's influence on his
Yeah,
development.
that's actually a really good point there. JSN, they're both from Ohio State. Very similar type wide receivers, route runner specialties. Like that's kind of been like their shtick. And I kind of like the fact that like Clint Kubiak doesn't necessarily have like an amazing quarterback play in Seattle. Like Sam Darnold's not like some all pro. So it's not like you require like elite quarterback play to kind of get that receiver the juice he needs. And I think the Cardinals could find comparable quarterback play, to get, the system that Clint Kubiak wants to run and run effectively. So I think that's a pretty good name. I hope that happens.
My guess is he's probably the top choice for that Raiders job. Um, that's what my gut tells me. Mike LaFleur, another guy with family ties in the NFL. They would be Matt LaFleur's brother.
Oh, yeah.
He was a really interesting name if Robert Sala came here, because while it would have been a lateral move from as a coordinator, he might have been able to call plays. I think that may have been worth something. Current offensive coordinator for the Rams. So he's got a LaFleur last name. He's got Sean McVay ties. Um, there was some interest there. Um, there might be a bit of a trend. I really value some of these guys who have NFC West ties.
Hmm.
I think it's one. I think we have 3 top 10 head coaches in the league in our division alone. So, you know, not a bad thing to copy some of the best. But also, I think it would be important to know what it takes to beat these guys long term. A name that I haven't seen linked to us at all, and I've only seen linked to I think 2 teams. Mike McCarthy. I used to be a pretty big hater. I always thought he held back Aaron Rodgers, but what he did in Dallas with the Cowboys, 3 straight years of 12 wins. Only the Chiefs during that same time frame won as many games. I think Dak's good, but to be that good, that consistent, I was very impressed. Like I said, I haven't seen him linked to really only to Tennessee and I think a little bit of Pittsburgh now. He's actually a
Yeah.
Pittsburgh native, so he probably would take that job in a heartbeat. But yeah, name I would love, I feel good about, but I'm not expecting anything. And the last one, I think you mentioned this name earlier. He's actually doing an interview today, and that's Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the
Ooh.
Bills.
Wait,
He's
who is he interviewing with?
Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's again another leverage play to get the Bills, get them going and
Hmm.
you know, get an offer with him and make a play there. He was the coordinator for Joe Burrow at LSU. That's his crown jewel, I think, on his resume. He took a super average college quarterback and threw for 60 touchdowns, arguably the greatest team in college history, and made him a Heisman winner, first overall pick, and he's suffered some injuries in his career, but he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. So I think that's his biggest crown jewel. He also took over as the OC, I think, in the middle of the year for Josh Allen. Am I remembering that right? Or at least he took
Yes,
over
they
play
did. No,
calling
they
duty.
did. Yeah, they did promote him middle of the year. I forget who they let go or they got rid of, but it was definitely a replacement in the middle of the year.
Yeah. So look, you could say anyone could call plays for Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. That's fair. But I think you have to level set here and ask yourself, what are the candidates that are somewhat realistic here? We can't be too picky. Of course, I love the names Stefanski, Salah, Harbaugh, but they're already taken. I don't know. That was a pretty big list. I think I went through like what 18 guys.
That was
Do you have
good.
any?
Oh my
Yeah, do you
gosh.
have any thoughts?
No, I'm going back to Kubiak. I mean, I think I really hope that's a guy who you guys kind of
I
zero
think
in
he would
on.
be out of this list remaining. If I actually got to choose and they would say yes, he might. You could make. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot probably the most important one, and it's because he's the
Oh.
most recent. Sean McDermott. I don't know if he has any interest here. But I think he would. It would either be McDermott or Kubiak would probably be my top two choices. Um, Hard to argue with. I think I saw the 13th highest win percentage in NFL history. Um, and to be fair, in year one, after a 17-year playoff drought, Sean McDermott took a Tyrod Taylor led team to the playoffs. This was before
Sean
Josh
McDermott
Allen. This
is
was before
98 and
Josh Allen
50.
in year three became an
So
MVP
yeah.
candidate. So he went to the playoffs for 3 years before a Josh Allen MVP quarterback. So
Yeah.
hard to argue with that. I heard the argument that this current Cardinals roster looks very similar to the one that he took over in Buffalo. Um, he didn't have a quarterback in year one with a good defense, made it to the playoffs. If you remember, that wasn't that the 6-3 playoff win, or excuse me, playoff loss to the Jaguars. So competitive in that game. And then in year two is when he got his quarterback and a good quarterback class. Sounds very familiar with, I see some parallels there. I don't know if he'd actually have interest here or not. He might be too established at this point, but he would be my top choice. But sorry, I interrupted your
Oh,
Kubiak thing.
sorry. Well, my
He's my
thoughts
top
on
choice too.
no. Well, here's my thoughts on McDermott. He's far too pale for the desert. I know you made that mistake, but I mean, I don't see a lot of other pale folks like ourselves making that voyage out to the desert. A little too much rays out there. I don't want
Can
to
you
know he's got
imagine
the
coach going from coaching in Buffalo to then coaching here?
biggest temperature change in NFL history, I'd
Like, is
imagine.
that good for your body?
Can't imagine. No, I was kind of threw in there. Sean McDermott's 90. Oh God, what was it?
98 and
98 and
50?
50. Yeah, as a career, so almost winning twice as many games as they lost, which is crazy to say out loud. And it's crazy that's only like what did you say, like 11th best all
I
time?
thought it was like
That's
13th or something.
13th. Wow, that's so crazy. But no,
That's a really
I
good
love that.
record to only be 13th. Is that what you're
That's what I'm
saying?
saying, right?
That's what I
Twice as
thought.
many
I'm like,
games.
there's 12 better.
Yeah, like who the heck are we talking about here?
I want to know, I
Is
guess.
do you see Sean McDermott at his stage kind of how Andy Reid was when he left Philly? Like, were they about the same? Like, how old was Reid when he left Philly? Like, is McDermott that old? Like, do you see McDermott having a post like another
My
year?
gut
Like, could you
without. I feel like McDermott's younger.
younger, right? So I would say like I kind of see McDermott, you know, wherever he goes, he's a culture setter. Like he changed
Yes.
Buffalo. Like he made Buffalo a winner. So like I could see him wherever he sticks. He's a guy who I think can turn a franchise around. And I kind of I like what you said about that because I think it'd be a good fit for Arizona. I remember you used
If
to
you were
talk,
Sean
yeah.
McDermott's friend, right,
Hmm.
and you're advising him on jobs to take, I understand like Arizona's not for everybody, but for him uniquely, I like the pieces we have on defense. I think we have some interesting pieces on offense. Of course, like any defensive hire, the coordinators you bring along are going to be very important.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to convince my. I mean, you don't have to convince me, but I feel like there's a better argument there than people would give us credit for Sean
I think
McDermott. I feel like people are saying he should do TV if the Cardinals are his only option.
ew.
Um, Not in a market with Mike Tomlin. He'll get shellacked there. But I don't know. I just don't think we're that bad. The two main sticking points with us. We don't have an immediate answer at quarterback, and I think our owner is not as highly regarded around the league. I don't know if he wants to cough up the money that it would take, and so that's obviously a negative. But I do think there are some pretty good selling points that I wouldn't be lying about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it'd be a good spot. I remember you used to talk to me about back in the day that you wanted Andy Reid to come to Arizona. I think that was going to be like the new rebirth of his career, not in Kansas City. And I just see this Sean McDermott situation, seeing as McDermott's from the Andy Reid tree. I'm like, oh come on, this will just make everything right in the world. Come on, like make this come
Yeah,
full circle. Like go to Arizona and then do the thing that Tanner wanted, like 10 to 15 years
win three
ago.
Super Bowls.
Yeah. Go in. Yeah, except he's not an offensive guy, so it wouldn't really make much sense. But so we're
They all count the same.
yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up with a quick game picks for these championship games. Me and Tanner kicked around the idea of when we have a full slate of games in the regular season. We've determined that we will probably be splitting up our pod into the main pod and like the picks pod, I guess you could call it. Because when you have 16 games a week, like we really want to like give our listeners an opportunity to hear what we have to say about these upcoming games. And I think that like making it its own separate pod that might come out later in the week would be a much better way to efficiently divulge that information instead of tacking at the end of a rather lengthy main pod, which is what you see here. So I think that'd be good. But since we only have two games this week, we're just going to tag them on to the end here. And as always, we're just going to have one person read the games. I'm going to guess the lines, and then we're just going to see who end up, where we go with this. For those keeping score at home, our parlay that we took last week got absolutely obliterated, right off the jump, dead on arrival. Not even that, it wasn't even close, to be honest. We took Bills plus 1.5, lost overtime. San Francisco +7. Oh my God, not even close. And Bears +4, which I think technically hit because they lost as a field goal. So we did technically get that one. But yeah, but we're not even close to winning that parlay. So we're going to get back on it. So Tanner, you got the picks. What's the first game? And let me guess the line.
First game. This would be on Sunday. This is what 1 p.m. my time, so 3 p.m. your time on
Okay.
CBS Paramount Plus. I know there are some listeners who are wondering where to get this game, so that was for you. We have New England at Denver.
So this kills me because like the Bo Nix thing, like where would the line be if it was Bo Nix? How much is Bo Nix worth? You know, I'm gonna say that probably like with Bo Nix, it would probably be like +4. So I'm gonna say without Bo Nix or +4 Patriots. So Broncos -4. I'm gonna say
So
Broncos
you're
minus.
saying Bo Nix is -4 Broncos?
It'd be I guess, but I'm gonna say with Jared Stidham, I'm gonna say Broncos -1.
I'm with you on the Bo Nix line. That
Yeah.
seems like a pretty fair number.
What was it?
New England -5.5.
New England is a road favorite.
So you are 6.5 points off.
Wow, I didn't know New England was a road favorite. That defense for Broncos are pretty.
I
Wow,
probably, if
okay.
it were me, I'm trying to I'm looking at the line. I probably would have guessed New England was like a 2.5 point favorite.
Wait,
5.5. Ooh, that's a
this
lot.
if this is true, this is the first time that a home one seed is underdog since the 2017 Eagles, who just so happened to have a backup quarterback as well,
The
Nick
Vikings were
Foles.
the favorite in that game.
The Eagles were Eagles were home underdogs the entirety of their first two games until the Super
Even
Bowl. I
that.
think.
Wait, the Falcons game was first.
Yeah, we were also underdogs.
You know what?
Hungry
That
dogs
makes
run
sense.
faster.
That
Yeah,
makes sense because I actually picked the Falcons. I remember.
that makes
I
sense
didn't
because I
pick.
thought you guys were gonna
No,
lose.
I didn't pick the Eagles until the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I picked
So
the Eagle
yeah.
in that Super Bowl. I picked the Eagles to beat the Patriots because I said I can't keep doing this.
So I don't know if you saw this,
But
but
I
Nick
remember I
Foles.
was like, I'm picking them now after picking against them every other
I
week
know
before. So
Nick
that
Foles
that makes
tweeted.
sense.
Yeah, Nick Foles tweeted and said, "Bronco fans, I know it seems bleak, but I
Yeah.
will say that the Patriots have a knack to losing to backup quarterbacks in the playoffs. So you might be in for a good ride here." So so that's crazy. So what was it? Patriots -4.
New
Would you
England
say
-5.5.
5.5? So I'm gonna. Oh gosh, will the Patriot? Will the defense keep that close? Wow. Well, I guess if I thought the Broncos were favored, I guess I'd have to kind of go with the Broncos on this. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not the biggest gambler, but I feel like if you think one team's the favorite and the line is actually in the other direction, the
You
value
have to
play
go
is
with
to
that
take the
team.
money line.
Absolutely. And on top of that, like I get it, like Drake May against an iffy quarterback with a good defense. But Drake May's on the road this time. Like he's in Denver. You know what I mean? I do think there's an element there. And a Denver team that was their first playoff win since I think the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. So
Well,
like
you
they
know
are
how they are with the
starved.
altitude in Denver. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'm off base here, but is it impossible to imagine it like Stidham just plays completely like game manager football and they just happen to scrap through a win? I think that could happen.
To be fair to Denver, they were the 1 seed, and I don't think it's because Bo Nix was
Yeah,
an MVP candidate.
no, I think he
So
played
to be
within the system.
respectful to future head coach Vance Joseph and his defense, um, yeah, I mean 5.5 seems like a lot. Is it crazy? This game is like 17-13,
That's what I'm thinking. Like it's going to be like
14-10.
first one to 20 wins, basically. I've
Okay,
heard that
well,
phrase before.
you want to take a stab at the over under the total points in the game?
Oh, I'll say
I
38
feel
and a
like this.
half.
I feel like this answer should actually kind of give away where you bet as well. So what did you
38 and a
say?
half.
38 and a
Yeah.
half? 42 and a half.
Okay, so not that far off. Interesting.
So my thought is, if you're gonna say it's a lower scoring game, 5.5 is kind of a lot, don't you think? That means all this,
Yeah.
like in theory, if you think it's a low scoring game, but you're gonna pick 5.5, that means all the scoring's on one side.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know. I feel good. I hope it's a good close game. I
It feels
definitely think
like
it's
it feels like the play for the pod should be take the points. We don't really do over under, but
no.
low scoring game.
Yeah. All right, cool. What's the other one?
All
Rams
right, so then we
Seahawks.
got 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. That's 6:30 your time on Fox. We got the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Tickets as low as $740.
Oh, get them while they're cheap. My God. I would say with the Seattle team, look, that was such a great game they played a couple what was that, like it was like a month ago? God, that was such a great finish.
Thursday night game?
Yeah, God, that was a great
Remember how
game.
that one went? It was Rams heavy early.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It was the opposite. Someone came back.
Yeah, the Seahawks ended up winning.
The Seahawks won. The first team to win in overtime on a 2-point conversion in NFL
Yeah.
history.
So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks -5.5.
Just looking something up. You took Seattle 5.5.
-5, yes.
The line is Seattle 2.5.
Oh, what the heck? Wow. All right. 2.5. So they're not even getting the home field credit. So they're saying on a neutral field, the Rams are a better team with the 3 points. That's crazy. Slightly better. That's
If you use
interesting.
the traditional 3-point line
Oh,
given
that's
to the home
insane.
team, then yes, neutral field would have.
2.5. That's a Rams line right there. That's a Rams line.
It's a divisional game. You know, I get it. I get why you would say 5.5. I feel like teams are. I feel like bettors are going to really value Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. They've literally won a Super Bowl together,
Yeah.
going up
Wow.
against Sam Darnold. I mean, I feel like that's your 3 points right there. Um.
What are you
So what?
leaning? Where are
So
you
you're
leaning on
saying if
this?
you thought it was going to be 5.5, and you only have to give up 2.5. Yeah. So you're saying you would take the you'd given the points. So you're going to take
I
Seattle
might.
-2.5.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But now that line makes me worried. It's like, what do they know? If it's that close of
You know
a.
how there's this thing with Stafford. playing in a certain temperature is record. I know it's not good, which is why they bring it up. I'm not fazed by that whatsoever. That doesn't. I think they're just as. I mean, look how good they were last year against the Eagles. I mean, they were a worthy winner of that game.
What?
Eagles just made one more play.
Yeah. I'm leaning Rams. Now that I think, I think I think there's something up with that.
You
I
want
kind
the
of talk.
point.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Rams here, man. They just have to win by a
I'm
field goal.
closing
What do you
my
think?
eyes and I'm picturing the Rams on that
Driving down
stage.
the
You know how they
field.
do it with the Fox crew. I think like Terry
Yeah.
Bradshaw. And I ask myself, can I see this? And I can.
Absolutely. Sam Bradford,
It
Puka Nakua. I can see it. I
it's
don't
not
like
it's
seeing
it's
it, but
not
I
a
can see it.
scientific method, but can I close my eyes and picture it? And
Yeah.
the answer
We're all
to me
about.
is yes.
We're all about we're gutsmen here. We're all about gutsmen. We pick
We don't
not
use
so much with our
analytics.
brains.
We use manalytics.
No, yeah, not so much with our brains here. We're just we're eye test guys. We use our eyes. I'm going with the Rams. Are you Seahawks in? Or are you Ramsing? What do you think?
I really could see this go 50. This is one of those games where I could see either team truly winning. So if you're going to give me the points for one team, I may as well take them.
So what you got?
Like,
Seahawks.
there's not an, I don't know. Maybe I'm not very good at this. There's not a result I can't really, the only result I can't really see is probably like a Rams blowout.
Yeah.
I think Seattle's too good for a blowout, even if Sam Darnold tries to lose.
Well, that's
But
why I
yeah, I
think
could,
-2.5 is so great because like the Rams just need to win on a game-winning field goal, and they win, and I still win.
yeah. So
So
you took
I
Rams?
think I got Rams.
All right. For the pod, we'll both take the Rams.
There we go. All right, cool. So there you go. We got Rams and we got Broncos. Okay. Well, congratulations to the Patriots and the Seahawks for
Yeah.
being in the Super Bowl.
A rematch.
Congratulations. Can't wait for that. Hopefully there's no what was it? Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line. But because that was a crazy game. So we're gonna do our final thoughts. And let's see. My first final thought it kind of relates back to a game I saw the final score of last night. If you guys don't know, Tanner's a huge Miami Hurricanes fan, and unfortunately, they did not pull out the dub in the national championship game last night. But I was listening to a sports radio show, and the caller was a big Ohio State fan, and they were like, "Yo, like Big Ten football, it's another win." And I was like thinking to myself for a second, and I noticed about this. And this is my final thought: why do college fans get so hyped and like kind of support their own conference when like they're doing well in a bowl game or doing well like when it's clearly like not their team, like it's not their team, but they want the other teams in their conference to succeed. And I'm trying to relate that back to the NFL, and I'm like, I would never want the Cowboys. Like, I'm not going, yeah, NFC East Super Bowl. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I despise them. So like, I don't understand why in college when their team's out, they root for their conference, whereas in the NFL, and I'm sure this is for most people, they don't want anyone in their division to have success. Why? And you're a big, you're kind of a college fan, so you have kind of a good I guess way to kind of look at this. Why is that the case? Or I guess why do you think that's the case?
I have a couple theories, but I'm with you. Like, I don't share that same enthusiasm as
Oh,
much.
okay. Good. I
But
was
my
wondering.
dad did growing up, so
Interesting.
I'm very familiar with that idea of rooting for your conference even when your team's out. Um, well, one, college sports is very regional. Well, at least it used to be. You know, the Southeastern Conference used to be just the Southeast.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Coast Conference used to just be teams on the Atlantic Coast. Pac-12 used to be Pacific, and the
Yeah.
Big Ten used to just be the Midwest. Because because college football is so big, the NFL has 32 teams. And these conferences now have like 32 teams almost. So you can only play your conference essentially unless you make it to bowl season. So I guess I could see somewhat of a pride aspect. Like the SEC has that slogan, "It just means more." I guess it doesn't mean as much these last couple of years, but yeah, I mean, there's a regional component because that's who you play every year. Yes, you play in the NFL, you play your division opponents twice each, but that's not most of your schedule. 10 of the 13 games in college you play are against your own conference. 6 of the 17 you play in the NFL are against your own division.
So there's like a
So,
familiarity there. So it's almost like we're all kind of in this together type of thing.
yeah, and not that a fan should really care as much because it's not like you benefit, but there is a money aspect to it. When teams make it to championship games and certain bowl games to Final Fours in college, there is a like a payout, like the conference receives X amount as a reward for making championship games. So there is a financial component to it, but it's not like anyone's paying me when a fellow conference team, like I'm not getting the money. So
Is
um
there?
it's not, no, I think it's a great point that you bring up. Because it absolutely is true. There was that stretch. It was like 7, 8 years in a row. The SEC won a national
Mhm.
championship in football. Now you got 3 straight years of the Big Ten. I believe it's 3 straight years of a non-SEC even participating. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a thing. Um, it's not something I share.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, what are your you're just not
I think it's.
familiar
I
with
just
it.
think.
You don't
I
feel
just
that
think it's
way
weird.
as an NFL fan, but as
Yeah.
someone
No.
who
I.
shares interest in both, I've seen it, but I guess I have more of the NFL. Like, if that's the case, then man, this last weekend, my 3 divisional opponents
You're having a
just
great time.
flooded the playoffs. So I should have just been what, like a pig in mud or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Seriously.
I did
No.
not
I.
feel that way.
My biggest fear is when the Cowboys ever win their next Super Bowl. So like I don't want to ever see that. So like
Right.
I would never come close. Dude, I would. Oh my god, I don't know what I would do if I saw the Cowboys in a Super Bowl. I would be inconsolable. So but no, I think that was my final thought. I just didn't understand. I thought it was odd, and I think that's kind of the essence of the final thoughts categories. Like I just kind of saw it happen, was doing something today, went, oh, that's odd, and, kind of popped in my head. And that's just kind of what I want this segment to be about. Just like a, kind of a weird musing that kind of showed up in my head and just wanted to bounce it off a good friend in Tanner. So what's your final thought, dude?
Well, one last point to yours.
Okay.
With conference realignment, it's dominated college football and college sports these last couple of years. Some of that may go away. Um, I think we may have super conferences coming soon. Right now we have like the Power Four, and then we have some of like the smaller schools that I think they call it the G5 or something. We may be getting closer to like 2 super conferences sooner than you may think. And so I think there's a pride factor in making sure that you're the superior conference. But that's gonna have more of an NFL professional model look to it if you're only having 2. And I think some teams maybe want to make sure that they're a part of that because I don't think everyone's gonna get an invite. Um, you look at a team or a school like Rutgers, would they actually be in the Big Ten right now if they didn't already like were grandfathered in?
Yeah, so they might just lose their
So,
bidding.
you know, I think there's a component there as well. So
ECU to the ACC, baby. Let's make it happen.
the youth of the ACC,
ECU to the
oh
ACC.
ECU, oh yeah. See, I think we may get. I don't know if we'll get an invite.
Well, if there's only 2 left and all the good ACC teams went.
Yeah, but
One can dream.
I think it might be 2 conferences of like 32.
All right, well, what do you got? What do you got? I treachered into the college realm.
My
What do you
my
got?
extra point is going to be I want less football. And what I mean by that is today, the Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Yeah, this has been a discussion over a couple years. It's a matter of when and not if. But he talked about the NFL getting rid of a preseason game and adding
Ooh.
an extra regular season game. So we would have 18 instead of 17, but then we may only have like 1 or 2 preseason. And he says, well, if we're going to, essentially the idea is if we're going to play 20 games, it'd rather be 18-2 than 17-3. And that sounds great. However, I'm not sure I need more football in the regular season, and here's why. I want more quality football.
Those last weeks in the NFL are just boring. No one, it doesn't. There's rarely
Like,
anything for stakes.
do we do we really benefit, or is it just for the owners so they can get a bigger TV contract? To me, there is nothing worse than when you got teams who are picking quarterbacks off the street and throwing them in there, or they're getting beat up because they're on their fourth offensive lineman. I'm okay with having we currently have an 18-week schedule for 17 games. I would actually sacrifice one game and turn it into a bye week. I want 2 bye weeks. If that extra bye week can give me can multiply the quality of football,
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have 16 of those than 17. I'm not sure what we really get out of a 17th game. And
Everything's kind of been off since.
what they're talking about is an 18th game. So it's even worse. And they're saying, well, it's still 20 games either way. No, 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 no. Like, you're not trading one regular season for another regular season.
Because a lot
You're
of those players
now
aren't playing in the preseason.
exactly. They weren't playing in the first place. So now it's just gonna, expedite, the injury process. Sometimes the best teams don't win in the Super Bowl. It's the healthiest. I'm sorry. I kind of want the best teams to win. I don't really see, like, that's not as in. I'm here to watch football, not to see who can like be the least hurt. That's not what football is.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have kind of prided themselves on being a healthy team. Every year it comes up during, preseason and the training camp. Like we've kind of been known to go really easy and soft on them during the preseason, like not playing the starters, barely doing any like hard training camp drills.
Oh, we
And
have breaking news. Wee woo, wee woo.
wait,
This is a huge deal.
what do you got? Uh-oh.
Are you ready for it? Don't
Oh
look.
my God. Oh, I'm not looking. What is it?
Per Adam Schefter,
Oh my God.
former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is expected to become the Chargers offensive coordinator.
Oh man.
He's informed other teams that they're out.
Wow. What a joke. Okay.
The two sides are having dinner tonight, barring a
You
change
know,
of heart.
I thought that the Miami guy would maybe want to go somewhere and tough it out. I should have known he'd go somewhere like LA.
Outer Blues, Southern
Oh
California,
my gosh,
baby.
dude. Sometimes you just have to make the easiest assumption happen. And God, man,
John,
that
hold on
sucks.
a second. Take one for the team. Mike McDaniel and Jim Harbaugh. That's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. Look, listen, it's an
You see
Eagles
those things
Cardinals
on
pod,
Facebook where
Tanner.
they're like, "What table would you like to sit at?" I want to sit at that table.
There goes my
Jim
number one.
Harbaugh is the most football man I've ever seen. And Mike McDaniel is the biggest football nerd I've ever seen. Give me that.
I mean, listen. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't really expect to get Mike McDaniel. He was just kind of like the Christmas list. Listen. I know I did the whole thing, and I wanted him on the top 5 list. I didn't. This wasn't a top 5. I expect him to be hired list. This is a top 5. Preference. He was my preference. I didn't expect it. I hoped, but I didn't expect it. But now I'm sad. So, that sucks. All right. Well, where were we at? What were we
I'm glad
doing?
I caught that before, because then we'd have to redo this entire
Oh,
podcast. And that
that's
would be a
great. No,
shame.
I nailed the. Oh, for those wondering, that was not me saying this is a huge deal. I did a drop, so that was I've been collecting drops and like putting them in. So that was from my really cringy opening from last week. So, anytime there's a big or a huge deal, that might find its way into.
We don't have
the,
breaking news. We have huge deals.
We have huge deals here. Yeah. So that was it. But no, I mean, I feel like that was a good extra point. So our segment's called the extra point, and not final thoughts. I just kind of talk about that. But no, that was a good segment to kind of wrap up. I can't believe we kind of got that breaking news. That's awesome. We caught it like live on our pod. That's pretty. And so we always want the good instant reaction. So I'm hoping that happens in the future. So really glad that you guys joined us today. I know this was a rather lengthy pod, but we had a lot to discuss, and a lot of us kind of gave you guys a lot of names to chew on in case one of your favorite teams hires one of these guys, or maybe a Cardinals position gets filled, or maybe even Eagles OC position gets filled. So who knows? Maybe next time this week we'll be reacting to our hires. Maybe the Cardinals will have a head coach. Maybe the Eagles will have an
Maybe if
OC.
there's a head coach hiring or an offensive coordinator hiring between our teams, maybe we can do a quick 10-minute pod or something.
Absolutely. No, if there's anything that happens that's huge, I mean, we will do an emergency pod, if we need to, because we're quick on our feet and can make that happen. We want to get that news to you guys as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much for listening to Birds Coast to Coast. We're gonna keep this rolling weekly. Expect these pods out weekly, and we're gonna be covering them. I know we started the weirdest time to start a football podcast, but we're gonna keep this truck moving all the way through the off season, and we got a lot of exciting things we got cooked up for you over the off season leading into next year.
There is no off season.
No, with these two teams, there's no off season ever. It's always a soap opera. So we're gonna explore these two teams together. We're gonna explore the NFL together. We can't wait to see who's gonna be in the Super Bowl. And thank you guys so much for listening to Birds Coast to Coast.